Welcome to my channel. My name's Jared. This is another Sunday update video. I also post silent build videos on most Wednesdays and Fridays, so check those out as well. Today, we're going to talk about the 356 and then the Model T. Okay, so on the 356, I wasn't able to get a video out this Friday, but I have been doing a lot of work on this car. So, like I've mentioned before, I was waiting on the windshield so that I could do some final adjustments on the roof to try to get everything lined up so that I can get the glass to go back in the car. So that's what I've been working on. You can see I've got that hydraulic cylinder out again, and I've been using it to kind of reshape this roof, and I've got it pretty close. The windshield is not installed yet, it's just sitting in here, just very loosely. But I do think that I can probably get it to go in with the shape of the roof the way that it is. But at the same time, I've also had to work on the window frames. I'll show you on the other side, and the door fitment, because as soon as I bend the roof, then the doors don't fit again, and then I have to realign the door opening, and then that affects the roof again, and so it's like back and forth. It's just a lot of really small little adjustments over and over and over. So it's not going to be, I'm not going to make a full video on all of that adjustment, but it has taken me several days, so I wasn't able to get a video out on Friday. But I am making good progress. So you can see here, I've got the door frame in on this side. It looks pretty good. This is the door frame for the driver's side, and this is the frame that was the worst. It had that huge dent in it here, or bend in it there. So this one has come out pretty good as well. But again, like this vent window is broken, so I have replacement glass for it, but so I have to make sure all of that fits, and then I had to make sure the glass can fit in the frame. And I had to replace these windows for the doors. I also had to work on this. This attachment was broken and the frame was bent. So I've been doing just kind of a lot of little projects to get ready for the next step. And the next step on this one is going to be to put in the headliner. So I'm pretty close to being ready to do that. And then once I get the headliner in, then I can put in the glass. I can put in the windshield and the rear window, and then I can start moving forward from there. I've got the covers for the seats. I've got a gauge that's missing. I've got a radio for it. I just got a new ignition for it. So once I get the headliner in and the windshield and the rear window, then I can start working on the interior a little bit, get all that finished up. And then once that's done, which will be several videos down the road, then I'll start working on the mechanical stuff. I've got to pull the transmission. I've got to do all the brakes, figure out what I'm going to do with the engine. So a lot more to come. But I am making good progress. So I do expect that there'll be a video for this car next week. So you can look forward to that. But yeah, so that's the 356. Now we'll talk about the Model T. So if you saw my last video on the Model T, you would have seen that I started assembling the engine. So basically what's happened to this point is that I got the engine back from the machine shop. You may notice that I still have the original valves in the engine. So what happened was the valves that I ordered, let's see, I'll show them to you real quick. So these are all the valves that I ordered, springs, clips, these are valve seats. So I ordered all these parts. They weren't that expensive, and so I just went ahead and ordered them in case we needed them. But the problem is the stem is too small, so the valves that are in the engine are oversized, but also the head is too small. So in order to use these valves, they would have had to replace every valve seat and every valve guide, and then re-drill all of them. So to replace these, they have to cut the cylinder or the block, fit these in there, and then they have to replace the guides to put these valves in. And all that just because people say that those stock valves, if they are stock, could possibly fail. So it seemed like not the best way to go. I'd be concerned that these seats would actually fail in the future, and that seemed like a lot of work to do for a few reasons. So one, these do not appear to be two-piece valves. So it's hard to see, you can kind of see on this one, it's hard to see with it in the car, but a two-piece valve, from what I can tell by looking online, there's a visible second piece. The top is visibly a second piece that's attached. These do not have any kind of attachment point. There's no clearly two pieces. So if that was two pieces, it was forged together and then it was, you know, turned or something to be a shape. So it doesn't appear to be two-piece when you look at it. Also, I believe what made people think they were two-piece are these holes on top. From what I can tell from looking online, the two-piece valves have two holes on the top, not three or one like these, but they have these two outer holes that you can use to rotate the valves, to seat the valves. So I believe people assumed that these were original two-piece valves because of these holes, but these holes don't match what I've seen on two-piece valves. There's three holes in one hole, and the valves, like I said, when you have them out, they do not appear to be two-piece valves. They're also oversized, so they've most likely already been replaced at some point, so there's a good chance that they were replaced with one-piece valves. So long story short, I'm keeping the original valves. I feel comfortable with it. I think it'll be fine. If it does cause a problem down the road, obviously it can be fixed. So that's that. There are a few other things to note on the engine. So I got this new magneto, and I charged the batteries. If you haven't seen that, you should check that out. I saw a video online on how to charge these batteries by setting the magneto on there and using the battery charger, so I did that. But I got all this installed, but luckily for me, somebody pointed this out to me already. But there was an oil tube, you may remember, that goes the whole length of the engine. It goes behind this flywheel and it runs the length of the engine, and that oil tube, through gravity, seems to bring oil up here, and then it oils, I believe, these gears on the front. So it's pretty critical that that be in there. There's just, on the end of the tube, there's a little cone shape that catches the oil, like a little funnel, and it just gravity fed. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, I forgot to put that oil tube in there, and that's a pretty important thing. So I've got to pull the block back off of the oil pan, pull the transmission back off, and then put that oil tube in there. So I'm going to be doing that. Also, some people have pointed out that I didn't check the gap here between the flywheel and the magneto, so I will try to do that while it's off. I kept the shims in the same location they were, but of course this is a different magneto. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get that pretty much where it should be. The thing to know about the magneto on this engine is that it's not necessary. You don't have to have it to have the engine run. In fact, the old magneto wasn't even hooked up, and I doubt that it worked. I bought this one because the old one, the covering over these coils, was flaking off, and I was concerned that it was going to break off and be loose in the engine and cause issues because there would be debris in the engine. So I replaced it for that reason, and also I think it would be cool if the car can run on the magneto, but if it doesn't, it's really not a big deal. It can still run off of the battery, and it can run for a very long time off of the battery. So it's not necessary to have the magneto working properly, but hopefully it will. So we'll see. I'm going to put some effort into it, and hopefully I can get it to work properly. But yeah, so that's the engine. Like I said, I'll be in the next video. I'll show the process of me putting that oil tube in. I'll point out that there was a mistake made and I have to put in the tube. So I will be lifting this back off of here, pulling the transmission off, getting that tube in, and then I'll move forward with the rest of the assembly, which will be to put the bands back on the transmission, put the hogshead back on, the head on, pretty much everything back on, and then I'll be ready to stick it back in the car. So on the car, you may have noticed I went ahead and test fit the radiator. I've had this radiator sitting in the shop ever since I bought the car. It's been taking up a lot of space in this big box, and I was really eager to see how it looked on the car. So I went ahead and set it on here, but it's just setting on here. The only attachment that's actually made right now is just this one rod, which I also had to replace because the old one broke. But anyway, it looks awesome. I got the Ford logo on there and the year 1923 on there, so that's all looking good. but it'll pop right off in a few seconds when I'm ready to put the engine back in. So that's all looking pretty good. I would imagine we've got one more assembly video on the engine, and then I would think the next video will be it going in the car, and then there'll be a separate video where I get it running. I'm sure there'll be lots of little things. I still have to rebuild the carb, and I'm sure there'll be other little things to take care of on that, but making really good progress. So that's the Model T, that's the 356. So that's enough rambling for this week, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Bye.